Hey, what's up, guys? Governor Bandicoot here. I'm back after several months, and there's only one reason. The Champions League is back, baby. And we've got an absolute blockbuster game today. Manchester United versus Paris Saint-Germain. And I'll be honest, when I first saw the draw back in December, I was extremely worried about it. We were playing terrible under Jose Mourinho and had one of the worst defense in the league, and PSG were just like in a free scoring form, just batting teams aside. And I was just like, okay, Champions League over. But the big difference since then is Ollie's taken over, and it's been a breath of fresh air. The club has been completely changed. Everything's refreshed, and I'm going to the game today feeling confident that we can actually turn over PSG. And in this video, I'm going to give my preview for the game, a bit of like what I think about PSG, their tactics, what their main threats are, their weaknesses, and a bit of United as well, and some interesting things to watch during this game. So yeah. So let's talk about PSG. This is a side that is desperate to win the Champions League, and they've basically been throwing money at this problem by buying the best players in the world for the last 5 or 6 years, and they've managed to conquer the league and win it every single year with ease. No team has been able to challenge them, but the Champions League has been a different gravy for them. Last summer they didn't really strengthen that much because if you look at their team, they don't really need to. They've got amazing players, like it's literally an all-star 11 when they're at full strength. And that's the key this time because they're missing a lot of their important players. You take out Neymar, you take out Cavani, Verratti's coming back from an injury, so he's not 100%. Thomas Meunier, their fullback, is also missing the game. And suddenly you start to see some holes in this side. However, at the same time, while you may think that, okay, these players not being there makes the game easier because these are players who are world-class, they can create a moment of magic and just win the game on their own. What it does mean is that PSG is now a very unpredictable side. All the United's coaching staff will have a difficult time predicting what they're going to do, what their tactics are going to be. And that makes it a bit more difficult for United in a sense. And Thomas Tuchel is a very clever manager. He's very tactically astute. He did some great things at Borussia Dortmund when he was there, and now at PSG as well. PSG are not just a collection of world-class players. They actually have a system. There's kind of like a brains behind the brawn in a way. And some of PSG's tactics have been very interesting this year. I've watched a couple of their games, and most interestingly, they actually use a very asymmetrical formation where they change the balance of which side is attacking, which side is defending. And what this creates is a sort of side overload at times, where the entire team is defending on one flank, and they switch it over, and it's slightly easier for them because there's not much opposition there. And they also take advantage of the pace of their players. Kylian Mbappe has been, he's lightning, to be honest. He's like, just get the ball behind the defense, and he's going to break through and be one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Lyon suffered as a result the last time, when they played earlier in the season and lost 5-0 because Mbappe was just breaking through and they had no chance. That being said, they improved a lot when they played last week, and I'm going to talk about that game in a second. Another key point is Marco Verratti is not fit. He played for about 50-60 minutes against Bordeaux over the weekend and was taken off, and he's coming back to fitness, and he's going to be a key player because one of the weaknesses of the PSG side, as exposed by Lyon, was that they could not hold the ball. The pressing from Lyon really destabilized them. They could not get the ball from the center midfield to their attackers. And the high press basically... So there was, on one hand, there was a high press, and secondly, there was poor decision making because he didn't have these... Like, you missed a Verratti, a clever player in the middle of the park who can dictate play. And left with Marquinhos, who's like a defender playing in midfield, and Di Maria and Draxler were actually wingers who were playing in the center. You didn't have that sort of creativity to pass the ball out, and this poor decision making really cost them. That being said, they did create a lot of chances nonetheless. And in that regard, Denier from Lyon was actually very crucial. He denied them at every opportunity. And without him and a really good goalkeeping performance, PSG could have scored a lot. Um, However, I think one of the key things that we can pick up from the game is that United under Oli has been playing a very similar system to Lyon under Bruno Genesio. And what this is having a fluid front four who are moving around with like pace and unpredictability. You don't know which player is going to pop out in which area, and that makes it very hard for defenders to mark them. And at the same time, they're very counter-attacking sides. So I think the main thing that we have to watch out in this game for PSG, their main strength is they're going to try and get the ball to Kylian Mbappe to break free. They're going to rely on the likes of Draxler and Di Maria to make runs into the inside channels on the sides, pulling the centre backs wide and leaving Kylian Mbappe a chance to break through the middle. And on the other hand, the weakness for them would be that they have to prevent the same happening to them because Thiago Silva is not a young man anymore. He was exposed last week by the pace of Lyon's forwards, and the same could happen to him again this weekend. So they'll have to kind of protect Thiago Silva. And Dani Alves is the same story. Like if he bombs forward on the wings, he's going to leave a space behind him, which Luke Shaw can probably expose and create an overload on the wings. And these are a couple of things that could define how the game goes. Other than that, I think defensively, they have two good goalkeepers. I haven't seen Buffon play recently. I don't know who's going to play Buffon Areola. Areola was amazing last weekend, but let's see who turns up. And Kimpembe is also a really highly rated defender. Again, when he plays PSG used three defenders at the back, and it didn't really suit Kimpembe's style. He was kind of drawn out wide, leaving some spaces behind him. And I think if PSG do that again, there could be problems for them. And I hope they do that actually. But no, as a two-man defense, he could do well. And yeah, let's talk about United now. So Ollie's at the wheel, and how good does it feel? I think it feels really good because Ollie has shown that not only does he get the club, he's also well, I won't say he's as tactically suited as Tuchel. He hasn't modified his formations too much, but he understands how to get the best out of the players and how to best set up the team that it can expose the weaknesses of the opposition. And in that regard, I think his tactics that he used against Spurs and also to a slightly lesser extent against Arsenal would work very well against PSG because these are teams that play on the front foot, they attack you, leaving a lot of space behind. And PSG is a team that basically attacks in every game because they don't face much resistance in the Liga. And letting them try that against us is probably a good tactic. Just let them sell into a false sense of security. Because if we play a 4-4-2 diamond the way we did against Spurs, it would work perfectly for us. I'm going to show my lineup in a second. But my idea is that if you have Rashford and Martial up top, these are going to be two pacey forwards who are going to break free and provide runs that Pogba and the likes of Pogba and Lingard can find. Martial in particular has been in excellent form. He's an absolute dead-eye in front of goal. He scored an amazing goal last weekend. And he's definitely got a point to prove. He was left out of the French side last year and did not deserve that. And now he's playing against the champions of France, and all of France is going to be watching this game, and he'll be desperate to prove a point and show just how good he is. Similarly, Rashford's been probably the best player at United in the last month. Well, okay, apart from Pogba. But he's been the form of his life. He's suited perfectly to Ollie's style, and his run will also be very important. Behind them, I want to play Lingard as a number 10. And the most important thing about Lingard, he's a very underrated player because he doesn't do the spectacular, but he does a lot of basic things that no other player does. He's always moving. He's always providing an option for his teammates to pass to, and he's leading the press against when we don't have the ball. He's going to be pressing and harrying against Thiago Silva, against Marquinhos, against Kimpembe, getting the ball from them up high, getting it to Rashford and Martial quickly, and letting them do the rest. He's going to be a key player for us. Behind them, I'm going to play a midfield three of Matic, Herrera, and Pogba. This has been our best midfield for all of our Ole's reign. Matic providing the solidity at the back, Herrera doing the box-to-box role and adding some bite to the midfield, and Pogba just being let free to do what he wants. And he's under Ole, he's been the best player in the world, and I will explain to you exactly why in the next section. Yeah, these three players will be key. I think Matic and Herrera can do a similar role to what Hossein Aouar and Ndombele did against PSG. They kind of held back and dictated the play from deeper. However, what I feel is that neither player has the same passing range as Ndombele. So you need someone who can link forward to the front line, and that's where I think Pogba will probably be more useful. They'll probably try and get the ball to Pogba, and then he will then distribute it forwards. And I think we only need like one or two chances to actually settle the tie, to be honest. And if Pogba can find Rashford or Martial the way he did against Leicester or against Spurs, it can be game over. And so we need to let Herrera and Matic give him the platform to be free and to play the game as he wants. Behind in defense, I'll play Shaw as left back. He's the only player we have who plays decently there. Young at right back, who I don't like, but he's also the only option we have. We really needed a new right back. And centre back is going to be Lindelof and Bailly. And sure, they may be the simple option to pick because they are, on paper, our best defenders. However, tactically, they're the right players for this game. Lindelof's really good at marking the channels and watching the channels and defending the channels. I've said channels too many times. Channels. But yeah, and that's going to be key against Mbappe because Mbappe actually targets these channels between the centre back and the left back, for example, and breaks runs through that. And so Lindelof's really good at defending balls coming through that way. And Bailly is there for his pace mainly because it's hard to keep up with a player like Mbappe, but if someone's got a chance, it's probably Bailly. I think Phil Jones has been a really good defender in the last few weeks, but one, he's got a mistake in him, and I wouldn't want to risk it in a big game like this. And two, he's a bit slower, and so I'd rather have Bailly for this game. And of course, at the back, David De Gea, because there is no better goalkeeper in the world, so that is not even a discussion point. Okay, so now finally I'm going to talk about why Paul Pogba is the best player in the world right now and why he is the player to watch in this game. So, you may think, okay, it's an exaggeration. No, I'm a United fan. Of course, I'm going to like... I like Paul Pogba. He's one of my favorite players. And I've been really impressed with him recently because statistically, he has outperformed every single player in the world in the last couple of months, basically since Ole took over. If we look at his stats since the middle of December, like from Ole's first game, I'm going to look at like goal contribution, so the number of goals scored and the number of assists, like if you add them up, goals that they're directly responsible for, and Paul Pogba's got 13 of them in the last 2 months. If you compare that to like who you'd consider the elite players of the game, Ronaldo, he's got 9, Messi's got 7, Mbappe and Mohamed Salah have got 8 each, and Eden Hazard's got 5. And these are the players that people consider to be the best in the world, the best strikers, the best forwards, the guys who win Ballon d'Ors. And Paul Pogba's been outperforming them in both goals and assists. And it's absolutely incredible, his performance in the last couple of months. And add to that, it's not just the fact that he's a midfielder outdoing the best forwards in the world. He's still running the game from midfield. His passing, his vision has been amazing, and he's been a complete package. And it's one of those rare cases where like he's actually finally justifying why at one point he was the most expensive player in the world. Like this is the Paul Pogba that United paid 90 million for, and he's finally showing it, and it's amazing. I think if he keeps up this form, there's going to be no competition in terms of like you can't doubt him after these performances, as long as he continues it for a longer period of time. And so the final talking point after this game is this is finally a game when we're pitching some of the best young strikers in the world against each other. Mbappe and Rashford have both had a very similar rise to fame. They both kind of emerged in 2016 season. Rashford suddenly just being called up from the reserves and scoring basically on every single debut he made, and Mbappe powering Monaco to the Champions League semi-finals. And from that point, they've just gone from higher and higher, and it's actually a very interesting subplot for this game because I think whoever out of these two players has a better game will basically decide which team wins. And so I think it's going to be a very interesting thing to watch out for, to see who's the best young player in the world. What I will also say is actually like a dark horse in this competition, which is Anthony Martial, because he's also about the same age, and he's also emerging. And all three players are actually players who started out on the wide and are coming in the middle. They all have pace, power, precision, and they all can win games on their own. And I feel like it's kind of a bit of banter, but actually I think Mbappe would not have been Mbappe without Martial. Because the only reason you know who Mbappe is because Martial left and gave Mbappe a chance in the Monaco side. So it's going to be an interesting subplot with all these three players playing at the same time. And honestly, I think as a United fan, I'm excited, but still a bit nervous. But for the neutrals, this has to be an amazing game to watch. And honestly, I'm looking forward to it. My prediction is it's going to be, I'm going to say 3-1 to United, because I feel like we can't keep a clean sheet against the attacking power of PSG, but I feel we have enough that we can put a few past them. And yeah, I look forward to this game. Feel free to drop any comments, what you think is going to happen, what your predicted score is, and yeah, see you in the next video.